What is the best part of traveling? The parties, the beaches, the weather, the culture, or just that feeling of being free and not having to go check into some 9-to-5 job? We're going to answer that question and talk about the hard things and the reality of traveling. And regardless of your reasons why you travel, let's be honest, it can be the most beneficial thing in your life if you allow it to be. Today, we're going to talk about some of the negatives and the downfalls of traveling and how to be ready for them, be in temptation, be in the food, bad habits, culture differences, lacking the language of the country you're going to, and the biggest one of them all, loneliness. For me, 10 years ago, I left my engineering job. 10 years later, here I am, still traveling, still abroad. While traveling abroad, you will change, being by your own ways or just being forced by the culture of the communities that you're actually in. Culture is not just limited to basic traditions. It can go as far as beliefs, food, rules, different religions, lifestyles. The biggest mistake that I see expats and backpackers make when they travel to new countries is they expect these countries to conform to them. You're the guest. They're not going to change for you. They're going to live the way they live. Come and enjoy. Don't come and reform. So with the introduction out of the way, let's jump straight into it. Food and diets. To some, this might not matter at all. To others, this can mean a whole lot. And this means if your food preferences, it's something more specific like a vegan or vegetarian, or maybe you eat kosher, this can become a big problem. These aren't normal diet plans like you would find in maybe, let's say, Asia. And also, if you're a vegan, food being cooked might be done in the same pot. So they might have just cooked some fried chicken and then they threw your vegetables in there cooked and say, here's your vegan food. This isn't really accommodated too much, and a lot of people just don't care. In major cities, you'll find like Indian restaurants and whatnot. These usually are Pacific for. If you are backpacking through small towns throughout Asia, you might run into a point to where you might want to consider prolonged fasting because you're not going to find these dedicated diet plans where you're going. So if you are in that diet plan or that situation, I strongly suggest finding some kind of online ordering services or just staying in major cities in different countries where they will accommodate for more Western style foods. Food safety. It's no secret places like India, Vietnam, and China, they sell food on markets. You see these wet markets, you see these dry markets where they sell beef that's like laying on the ground or stuff that's been sitting in the sun all day. The point where an FDA official might show up to one of these markets and just blow the place up because there's so many violations going on. Now, I'm not saying don't eat street food, because street food is some of the best food you'll find in Asia or South America. And the last one is beer. Places like Vietnam have beer hoi, and in China, I think it's called baijiu, I think is the name, where it's non-filtered alcohol. It's cheap to buy. It gets the job done. Who knows what's in these things? Don't drink it all the time. Try to avoid this cheaper stuff as an everyday thing. So with that being said, hopefully that helps you with the food. Let's get to the next subject. Bad habits while traveling abroad. While traveling, we can start to change who we are from the people that are around us and just the spots that we go. This can lead to a lot of our strong values, day-to-day habits, or beliefs that slowly start becoming less of our daily activity or just disappearing altogether. And for you guys that are just traveling short term, this might not affect you as much. You might just gain 1 to 5 kilos from drinking the 1 to 15 beers. And it also doesn't help that things start becoming much cheaper real fast. Or the idea that the money that you're bringing to travel, you saved up for, meaning this money is for this trip. You don't plan on going back home with any of this money. And this is where a lot of bad habits and just day-to-day things can start becoming a normal thing, such as heavy drinking, smoking, reducing or just stopping your normal eating habits, being healthy or not, or just your day-to-day workout. And a lot of this will just happen naturally. You won't even realize a lot of it. So this isn't always about self-control. This is about just the environments that you're in. And I think the biggest influence is other backpackers, other expats, because a lot of people are here. They save $5,000, $6,000 to travel around Asia or South America, and their intent is to have as much fun as possible. The pressure from other expats can be very heavy on you if you're someone that's here for 5 or 6 years, where you're more of, I want to eat healthy, not drink as much. And that really puts you in a weird position to where you're the awkward one. You're going to be battling some internal demons in regards to temptations and bad habits. What hobbies and activities can you do while you're abroad? So we just talked about bad habits you probably acquire traveling abroad. But what about the good things that you can do and maintain? Where you travel, there might be a lack of resources, little to no interest in your hobby that you want to do around that country, or it just doesn't exist. So you might be stuck just playing badminton and football with everybody else in the area. And of course, if you're just jogging, riding a bike, surfing, bodyboarding, stuff like that, you can definitely still do that. You're gonna find some Western stuff here in Asia. For example, Thailand, American basketball is huge. You will find a basketball court like anywhere. And then things like yoga are very popular. And you go to a local park and join a yoga community and do stuff like that. And that includes exercise, martial arts, and stuff of that nature. Because badminton is such a big thing in Asia, you have the opportunity to even play tennis. If you find a local park that has a badminton court, you can throw out some tennis while you're at it. Surfing, bodyboarding, skydiving, jogging, doing push-ups in the kitchen. You can do all this stuff on your own. And for the smart ones out there, if you like chess or checkers, go to a local park and play chess or Chinese checkers with a lot of people in the community. If you're an e-gamer, there is a lot of arcades, as we call them in Asia, where it'll be a building full of a bunch of desktop PCs where everyone's gaming together. And when you're in Asia, for example, it's not something that's commonly bought, and it's also usually imported. So if you're trying to buy a tennis racket, bowling balls, golf sets, stuff like this is going to be a lot more pricier. Pretty much the larger cities, Bangkok, Saigon, Bali, all these places will have a lot of Western sports packing for short or long-term trips. Traveling is seriously fun. We've all seen the videos of backpackers, expats going A to B, B to C, C to D, all over to F to G to H, I. But we never see the in-betweens, the sleeper buses, the long flights, the big train rides, packing everything, carrying everything we bring. But also talk about the excessive amounts of cost that you could avoid just knowing how to pack a lot better and things to be ready for when you're packing your backpack. In some of the stories I hear, people paying as much for their bags that it cost me for my hotel for the month. We can reduce all that. As I just travel with a 20-30 liter nomadic backpack, I avoid a lot of these on-flight fees. I can bring this bag on to pretty much every flight. And really the solution comes down to two words: made in America. Okay, I'm joking, but seriously, minimalistic living. And it's usually misunderstood and mistaken for sacrificing rather than just a lifestyle or a way of living and traveling. A lot of the richest people that you'll ever meet live this way. They have big cars, big houses, but they don't have 5 U-Hauls worth of garbage that they don't need. So when you're sitting down with your bag trying to figure out what to pack for this trip, consider these things. Will you use it more than once? Do you have something else that does a similar thing that's already packed? Can you buy it where you're going? This is the problem I see with a lot of backpackers is they pack enough clothes for the month. They pack all this extra stuff. If where you're going, you could already buy this cheaper. Honestly, look at the back of your shirt. It is probably made in Vietnam. So why are you packing a bunch of shirts to Vietnam? In the big one, don't pack things that have sentimental value because now you're going to be ultra worried about it. It might get lost. It might get stolen. Things happen. And the most important thing is just the bag that you have. And it just doesn't cut it when you go to Walmart and you buy a JanSport and like, oh, I'm just going to throw all this crap in here. Or if you get one of those really big military bags, they just aren't functional for what you're probably going to try to do. Again, check the link below for Nomadic. They're doing payment plans. I believe it's like 4 to 6 week payment plans, no interest. And they got a ton of bags that cover camera equipment, backpackings. Check that link below for a nice discount. David, aren't you lonely with all this backpacking and traveling? You go through my channel for the last 9 or 10 years. I've been traveling all over Asia. And through all those years of going back home, seeing family, traveling place to place, having friends be in short term or long term, the answer to the question, am I lonely? No. When you are abroad, you're going to meet a whole lot of people. You're probably going to be short term with like 95-98% of them where you never see them again once you leave that area. And like 2 or 3% of them you'll keep like a long-term relationship with. That's most likely going to be long distance that you probably won't see again, which are horrible odds compared to if you just stayed home back in your country, got a 9-to-5 job where most people you meet, you hang out with on the weekends, you know them for the next 10-20 years. So there is an impact on relationships with people that you're with. So for me, depression and loneliness, I find is subjective. Some people lack going home every day at 5 o'clock, sitting with their family, watching TV. And some people, they just want to wake up with something new in their life, something exciting. So our ideal life could be very different from one person to another. Relationships can also be another one. I see so many Western people that moved here to Asia, get married for being to start over, get remarried, whatever the case is, they do it for the wrong intent to think that they're just kind of getting a new love in their life that's going to change something. And most of these people that I meet that get married never last that long. And this is why I feel that depression and loneliness is a very subjective thing, because those people that want to get married, that wasn't the answer. So the question is, how do I avoid depression and loneliness? For me personally, my depression level or loneliness would be lacking purpose, not having value or creating something of value. I find that this is the biggest reason why a lot of people are just not happy that I meet traveling abroad. When you live back home, you were working a 9-to-5 job, you're waking up like, oh, I don't want to go to this effing job. I'm tired of this stuff. I don't want to go home and hear my wife or If you are waking up in Asia traveling, you're having these similar feelings like, I just don't feel like living. I don't want to do anything. You are lacking purpose. So I want to share with you a little exercise I did a long time ago. It's called the 7 whys. You put it on a piece of paper, 7 all the way down to 1. Number 7 is very simple. What do you want? What is your goal? What do you want out of life? And then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 are all whys to the predecessor. That's all you got to do. When you get to 1, you're going to know exactly what you want to do and what your purpose is. And I'm going to warn you, this is not easy. This is life-changing. It was for me, and it got me to the point where I quit my job, pretty much invested everything I had, got rid of all the garbage I had in my life. It just started traveling, and I have no regrets. It comes down to, I just had my purpose. So I hope that helps today, and this gives you an idea of what to be ready for and some of the negatives about traveling abroad. If you are coming to Asia to be a teacher, 15% off a TEFL below. Do it online and get it done before you get here. Till then, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for watching. I will see you again.